So this story is fun. This story is fun. Thousands flock to see miracle sister Wilhelmina Lancaster, whose body shows no decay 4 years after death. So a lot of people are claiming miracle. This is a miracle. Just look. Just look. So this is what she looks like. Again, she was buried for 4 years. I don't know, man. Those hands seem like they are decaying to me. Those like nub hands seem like they are decaying. Her face is still relatively intact. I'm probably going to get not only demonetized in this video, hopefully there's not more consequences for showing something like this. But yeah, thousands of Catholics are now showing up because they feel like, oh, this is a huge deal. This is a miracle. We're seeing a real life miracle. So a lot of people are calling for her to become a saint, but apparently the church only considers it 5 years or more after death. They don't do it at 4 years. So anyway, that's just the political situation around it. So let me read some of this for you because there's some hilarious parts in here. I know it sounds like, wait, how could it be hilarious when you're dealing with somebody who's dead? But you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. A nun whose exhumed body showed nearly no signs of decomposition 4 years after she died is drawing thousands of Catholics hoping to witness the alleged miracle to the sisters' rural Missouri monastery. The visitors are coming from all over the country to see and touch the body. I don't know, man. Is that a good idea? Are you going to get like anthrax or something from doing that? I mean, that seems like it's unsanitary, if you ask me. Who died at age 95 in 2019, was exhumed in April with her body and clothing still intact. Between 10,000 and 15,000 worshippers were expected to visit the chapel of Benedictines of Mary, Queen of Apostles, in Gower, a small town 40 miles north of Kansas City. Each day over Memorial Weekend, Clinton County Sheriff Larry Fish said in a Facebook video, the nun's body was coated in a protective wax and displayed inside the chapel as travelers touched her face and prayed over her. Her remains, which were initially exhumed to be put in a new shrine, will be placed in a glass case on Monday. This all seems kind of weird, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Like, if there was some indigenous community that decided to do something like this, I think we would look down on that. We'd be like, hey, seems unsanitary, seems unclean, seems crass. Like, you're just going to display this dead body in a vacuum sealed thingy. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. I'm getting weird vibes from it. Local officials said they expect visitors to continue making the pilgrimage from as far as Canada and Mexico for several months. Fish said the rural area's gravel roads were designed to serve that level of traffic. Quote, we are going to put a very large pressure on our infrastructure that is not designed for it, he said. Local police created a mobile command center to deal with the size of the crowds. In the town of just 1,800 people, an additional land was cleared for more parking spaces near the monastery. Samuel Dawson came with his son from Kansas City to see Lancaster's body this week. It was pretty amazing. It was very peaceful, just very reverent. Lancaster was buried in a simple wooden coffin without any embalming 4 years ago, according to a statement from the Benedictines of Mary, Queen of Apostles. When the Benedictine nuns exhumed their founder last week, they expected to find bones in her coffin, but were instead shocked to see her fully intact and perfectly preserved religious habit. The nuns had hoped to keep their discovery private, sure they did, but an internal email about the matter was posted online, and the news spread and soon made headlines. Many Catholics believe that Lancaster's lack of decay is a miracle and that she could be a modern-day saint. So they go on here. The condition of the remains of Sister Wilhelmina Lancaster has understandably generated widespread interest and raised important questions. At the same time, it's important to protect the integrity of the mortal remains of Sister Wilhelmina to allow for a thorough investigation. So here we go. Incorruptibility has been verified in the past, but is very rare. This is a well-established process to pursue the cause for sainthood, but that has not been initiated in this case yet. The process to investigate sainthood begins 5 years, as I told you guys. Scientists are also wary of the supposed miracle. Human remains decay at different rates depending on a number of variables, and a lack of decomposition even years later isn't all that rare, according to Rebecca George, an anthropology instructor at Western Carolina University in North Carolina. Typically, when we bury people, we don't exhume them. We don't get to look at them a couple of years out. With 100 years, there might be nothing left, but when you've got just a few years out, this is not unexpected. I love how stupid everything is these days. I really do. I really do. Like, there's this story, it's put out there as a big deal. It's like evidence of divine intervention, and she's going to be a saint, and this is a miracle, and all this stuff. And then you read on, and scientists are like, this isn't even weird. It takes a long time sometimes for bodies to break down. It could be for a variety of reasons. Who knows why, right? There probably are people who are experts on this who can go into more detail about it. Maybe something with genetics in one instance, maybe certain, they said she wasn't embalmed, but maybe there was a certain process done, certain chemicals used at the time of her death that can explain why perhaps it's taking a longer time for her to break down. Or maybe it's, whatever, 20%, 30% of people in this same scenario wouldn't decay that quickly, right? I don't know. But everybody jumps right to, oh, miracle, miracle, miracle. Man, this is like shut your brain off, cult-like stuff. And not to pat myself on the back here too much because it's not that impressive, but from the second I saw the headlines, I was like, yeah, not buying it. Like, this is the bar. This is the bar for miracle. This is the bar for divine intervention. It's like, if it was really an act of God, maybe she'd still be alive, right? Like, this is God's way of showing, hey, I exist. Yeah, the old lady's dead, but she doesn't look all that terrible. It's like, what? Her hands are non-existent, so apparently they're decaying, right? Little nub hands or whatever. But, like, the bar is so low. It's like when there's, like a terrible disaster, like a terror attack or something like that, and then, like a child loses a leg or an arm, but they survive, and then the family members are like, it's a miracle that they survived. So you're going to give God credit when your kid is maimed because your kid didn't die? If there was some divine intervention, wouldn't God have prevented the terror attack in the first place? Wouldn't there have been no terror attack? Right? Like, that's the way you got to look at it. It's just very cruel. It would be very cruel of that God. Is that really a God worth worshiping? Like, yeah, I let the terror attack happen. Yeah, 27 people died, but at least your kid is only maimed. Like, the bar is so low. The way that we think of these things is so stupid. So yes, the initial reaction of like not buying it, there's like, this doesn't seem that weird. Apparently that's totally accurate. Apparently that's true, but that does not stop thousands of Catholics from showing up for this thing. By the way, Catholics, you got other problems you should be worrying about right now. Like the fact that a report comes out every year finding thousands more pedo priests who are taking advantage of kids. Like the fact that the Vatican has had to pay out billions of dollars over child sex abuse. Maybe focus a little more on that. Maybe focus a little more on the groomer problem amongst the Catholic structure against the officials and the elites in the Catholic Church. Should probably be worried more about that than some old-ass lady who was dug up and is only decomposing a little bit and not a lot. Jesus Christ, man. I don't know how this made headlines. It made headlines because people were looking for, like, these outlets that ran with it as if it was a miracle or whatever, they're just looking for cheap clicks and they're just looking to feed a narrative, right? Like, that's all it is. They want to feed into this religious instinct and religious notion of, miracles do exist. It's like, you could have come up with a better example than this, man, because this ain't cutting it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.